So as we said, we're working with Old Berwick Historical Society to put these displays up at the Great Works School in South Berwick. And we determined as we were starting to put up the display that it would be a lot better and easier if we put up a display for a month and then South Berwick put up their display for a month. And South Berwick's will have some of our stuff in it because it goes into SAD 35 and the schools that we have today. But it also gives them more room to put their things, more room for our things. And there are two display cases. This is the larger display case. Touch it. Can I do it?
Down.
I'll just go through these pretty quickly. And so the bottom part of the display case goes from 1804 to 1966, when we became a district. Yep, you can go.
Okay.
Just go through them quickly. Okay, and so you have the building of the new high school in 1906, and the Laura V. Dame School opened, which housed various grades until 1966. And in 1940, Eliot High School became the central school when the new high school was built. In 1940, which is now the elementary school. And then you have 1940 to 1966, when the last school rooms closed. The number 4 closed in 1942. And then you have the additions to the Eliot High School to house the primary grades. And these pictures show that. And the bottom picture there, the close-up, shows you Jan's ingenious way of showing the additions to Eliot High School and how you added the primary school, and then you added the gym, and then you added the connections, the wings, you know, the Mildred Overy wing, etc. So the second level of the display goes from 66 to 1999, when we created SAD 35 and we built Marshwood High School in South Berwick. And so this shows what was Berwick Academy, not Berwick Academy, South Berwick High School became Marshwood Junior High School, which is now the Great Works School. And it also talks about the beginnings of the preschool program, both in Eliot and South Berwick, which were housed in the church, and then they moved into the elementary school, and the central school, which was their elementary school in South Berwick. And these are just some close-up pictures of that, showing Marshwood High School in 1966. Just another close-up showing they're hard to see, but they're what I explained about the additions and the changes in the schools, and it can become very confusing, as Jan and I found out, not only talking to ourselves, but to other people, because the schools evolved. The school had one name this time and another name that time, and it had these kids this time, and it had some other kids another time, and then all the 6th graders moved into the junior high school from the elementary schools. I mean, it was pretty confusing. So we made a timeline, which Jan put up on the display also.
What is this here in the exploring something?
That's the preschool program. It just explains that it began in both towns and is now the elementary school, and that's a little close up. Yes.
Did you get any reaction from the kids in the school who observed the displays? Did you get any reaction from them?
Jan, have you heard from Jamie?
I'll talk a little bit when we do the next one, but because I haven't been back to Jerry's school, but Jerry's given us a lot of feedback from what we've done prior. and that the kids really enjoy it. They like looking at it, they interact, you know, and we talk to them a lot about it too. So it's been very well, and the kids at the elementary school, that's grown, and they're really kind of special, the things that are happening now.
I'll share one thing too, as you were talking, Jan. I recently was participating in the local pickleball group at the elementary school on Sundays. And so we were doing pickleball in the gym. So people are congregating, going in and out. And it's reminding me that it's not just the kids seeing this. There's a lot of people coming and going in the schools and the teachers and all of that. And a number of times people would stop and be like, oh yeah, check out this historic society. So anytime I get a chance, I'm like, that's a come help us. But there was a number of, you know, conversations around that even on the Sundays afternoon. So
Well, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Schools were closed down, and so it was just very limited, only kids being in it. And now you're beginning to have the adults as well. So we're beginning to get a lot more feedback, not only from the kids, but from the adults.
Yeah.
Anything there? Could keep on there. And so these are the present day buildings. That's the third tier. And when we vacate our display, South Berwick will, Historical Society will keep these elements and use them in whatever way that they're going to use them for their town's display. So these are just the present buildings: Marshwood High School in South Berwick, Marshwood Middle School in Eliot, Great Works School in South Berwick, Central School in South Berwick, and Eliot Elementary School. And then at the very end, we give a nice thank you to Mr. Burnell. But before we do that, here's some close-ups of the additions that were put on. Marshwood Junior High School received an addition on the end, which is now Marshwood Middle School, and that's the thank you to Jerry, who's taught for what?
He's been a principal started Eliot Elementary School in 1991,
Yep.
until 99, and then he is the only principal that's ever been at the Great Works, which started in 99 up till the present day. So he has those years, but he also taught at as a teacher in the junior high, and I think that was in, when did they say that was? 78, I think. 78, I think, is when his first year was. So he's the longest serving individual in the school district.
He's a good one.
He absolutely is.
Yeah, good man. And this is the smaller display case where Jan put in a lot of different artifacts and things as the LA High School cardigans and letters, and a few pictures of the one-room schoolhouse, the old town hall, the number 2 school that John Fremont Hill went to, and so that's in our small display case. Mr. Parham, you know, for whom the gym was named at the elementary school.
And I also put up the Eliot Indians. I asked Jerry first, and he said, yes, it's fine. Just wanted to make sure that he was aware that it was going to be up in their mind. He said, at this conversation, he'll take care of it. But the thing is, it was the Eliot Indians, and it should realize good conversation for them.
Yeah, it was just a close-up of some of the things that are in there. The teacher's bell, writing books, penmanship books. There's I think it's in there. The teachers, when I went to school, teachers had a piece of paper, and it was a lined piece of paper, and every day they had to put whether you were present. They put your name and they put a check mark. And I happened to find my great aunt's papers, probably from 1904 or something, 05. And so those are in there for the kids to see. Now, I think, Jan, you told me that they tell the office who's not there. They don't have to write it down, so. There's the map that was given to Jan by Ann and the teachers at the elementary school to thank her for all their work that she did with the schools and the kids. The map of Eliot with the districts. School houses.
Kind of nice to have it in school so that the people coming in can see how the map would be and what they can do, so it works out nice at the schoolhouse.
So that was the presentation on the school displays right now. Question for you. How long is that display going to be up?
Well, it'll be up till the end of the year. We're gonna take ours out in the end of May and, I mean, the end of this month. And then they're going to, South Berwick's gonna add their part of the earlier on that.
Okay, so they're here in Eliot till the end of April. Right, so if anybody here wanted to go see it, is where I'm getting at. They have until the end of April.
It's up in Great Works School in South Berwick.
The school one is, okay, then what we just saw.
The school one is up at Great Works School in South Berwick until the end of April. And then South
Okay.
Berwick will put their display in there, and we'll get pictures of that too to show you, because it is a collaborative effort. It's just that we determine.
But the district part will stay the same.
The district.
66 to present is permanent. Now we're both.
Oh, okay, all right.
Now, if you wanted to go look at it, you can't go into the school during the day,
It would depend on what was going on. I mean, the thing is, there have been people who have asked, and I suppose they'd let you in, but I think it's more like if there's something going on. That's like at Eliot Elementary, when people are going in and using the building, they get to actually walk by and see the display,
Mm.
rather than that they're actually going in during the school time.
Yeah.
So,
I was just thinking, anyway, we can talk afterwards, but maybe if, as we're thinking about this, particularly here for these local displays versus going out to, because you usually start here and then you move them, right? You do the same display here
Yeah.
first. Oh, you don't?
I mean, it's not that we might not,
Okay,
and it's not that there might be things going, but it hasn't happened that way yet.
okay. So they've been completely different displays.
Well, we haven't even doing Jerry's 3 times.
That's right.
And we're
Okay.
just starting to work with
Yeah,
Old Berwick Historical Society, so it's gonna be sort of a conversation with them. Do we pick a topic?
Yeah.
And so we haven't gotten that far. That'll be a discussion that we have this summer, because we really don't feel we can do any more than 2 displays
Hmm.
in each half.
Yeah.
2 in the fall and 2 in the spring. Other than that, it gets way over.
so maybe it's just if we know of an event, like if there's a theater production or if there's something going on at one of the schools, and it's an opportunity for us to go in and check them out. Because it is wonderful to see them right up close too. All right, wonderful. Anything else? Anybody have any questions on the school displays before we go to the next one?
You know, what's that, what's the building up in the upper right corner?
Yeah,
What-
that's
what
the
building is
number
that?
2. That was the first number 2 school,
First number 2.
the first number 2, where John F. Hill went to school. And where Dr. Willis taught at that school.
Where was it located?
That was the Fry School.
I'm
And
surprised.
because I had all the pictures, I only used one for the number 2 schoolhouse, I only had space. And I didn't actually plan it, but it worked out great, because since I didn't put that one in, when I put it down there, not only did I have the right school for Governor Hill, it was like, okay, well, yeah, so I just said, I'm just ran that. But it was purely accidental. We just didn't have enough space to put all of the schools up there because of some of the ones that had burned down and in the front part. So I thought that was a good addition and it worked out perfect.
It's not there anymore. It was up near Jenny Lane, but not close to Jenny Lane, but down a little. It was on,
The Lincoln School, have you ever any pictures of that?
Yeah,
yes,
the Lincoln one is in the first one, because that's the second one.
that's the second school. Yes,
That's the second number 2.
Oh,
no,
no, I was just gonna say, Sylvia's mother taught there.
oh, really? Ah.
We don't know how she got from Rye.
Oh, wait a minute.
You know.
Oh,
All right.
Right?
Okay. All right.
they burned that down.
They did the
Yes.
second one down.
For Carl Preston bought that.
So Sylvia,
That's right, yeah, yeah.
who's your mom?
My mother,
Because see, what it does, this particular book, I'm telling you, if you didn't have the market doing all this work, they went back and listed all the people who taught. Yes, I'm telling you, we would be, there's nothing without them. So it starts with, okay, we first got the administrators, but we're gonna get down to the teaching. You can go on, because I'll just show you this. So she
My
can
mother
look
went to school, Pleasant Street, where
at
I just lived there, then Johnny Sullivan. You know, it started Cross Street.
Number 7.
Okay, so the teachers.
What was that? You know, that's how my mother went to grammar school.
Is that the same?
That's
So
number 7.
she's.
It's still there.
Street, number 7.
She told me, you know, but I don't remember what.
Oh, Titus, you're right. Yeah,
Well,
seven.
John Sullivan's old.
That, yeah, I was thinking of the wrong John Sullivan.
And it's still
Sorry.
standing.
So, yeah.
Because I go, yeah, as a resident, certainly.
But
Right.
it doesn't have the upper.
But
It used to be real tall. and
the guidance is that's when I was growing up. And then Johnny Sullivan and Barbara Moss. They bought it after that. Oh, yeah, that. Back, this is a nice house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found one.
These books would be great to put in a PJ place. Some of those school books, something to prompt discussion maybe on the 20th. Some of the books that did. But in school is such a
Did anyone ever take
shame
pictures of,
experience.
there were temporary trailers outside the elementary school?
Yeah.
Because, even though it's recent history, there's probably people today that don't even remember, how there were just trailers that they used for classrooms.
A portable classroom. Yeah, they had them at the junior high too, before they built the addition on. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, some of the funny things is that, I call him Uncle Vic, but Victor Staples that used to live on Beach Road. He wrote, a couple of books. Stories of an Eliot farmer. Anyway, he lived where, the development, Buck Drive on Beach Road. Well, he lived in it, that was a farm, remember when Sergeant's owned that?
Sergeants, yeah, the sergeant. Yeah,
Yeah, Uncle Vic. owned that.
Cheryl Wood.
But when he was growing up, he grew up on the end of the Beach Road, on State Road end, and they walked to the one on Goodwin Road. What one was that?
That would be the number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4, yeah.
They used to walk there every day.
Did they go through the fields though? They didn't go up the road. They probably went in.
The most interesting thing.
Because there is a way to get up there. There's an old
What he
road.
said about it was that, they had, obviously, they had an outhouse. And he said, in all his time out there, he don't think anyone ever cleaned that thing.
But I remember somebody was saying, and it wasn't number 4, it was just in general, the boys cut through the fields and the girls stuck to the road.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty interesting, no matter what the weather was, and the teachers got there every day too. One teacher.
Miss Wakefield. There was a Miss Wakefield who you see in a lot of the pictures.
It's in his book, I read that thing
Yeah,
half a dozen times, but I don't remember that. Yes, he did, he mentioned one of the teachers.
yeah.
That would be back in probably the 20s, I would think.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, fantastic stuff on the display. So maybe during refreshments, I'll put the pictures back up and we'll try to, you can come up a little closer so you can see what's in the pictures. Those of you on Zoom, we're going to move to the next topic, but before we do, Carol and Ruth, any questions for Roseanne on the schoolhouses? School
I
displays?
just wondering, oh, Tracy, is the Eliot American Legion Post, was that a school at one time?
No, that was a firehouse.
Thank you, all right.
All right,
So shall we move to the main topic for,
try.
all right. So moving on to the stores of Eliot.
Well, that's how you tell.
Yeah,
What's
that's your,
coming up.
yep, that's your lead.
Yep.
But they can only see that one.
Okay, here I am telling you. So this is our topic for tonight, which was Eliot stores that we put up at the Eliot Elementary School. And Jan, pipe in anytime you see something that you want to talk about.
Well, before I want to talk about anything, I want to make sure that we say thanks to, because we had a lot more support this time, Eric, so we did not have to climb around in the display case. My kids were very happy to think I was not climbing inside that anymore. Debbie helped me put the dollhouse fell apart all together again. Ernie has some amazing stuff. He wants to show it off to you. He's got some amazing collections. Rosanne suggested sometime we go down to his house and take some pictures because unbelievable what he's got. So he shared many things with us. And then Julie for help with some different pieces that she added to it that just finished it off really nicely. So we have a lot more support, and so I think that's what we need going forward with this, and so it made it just a lot of fun.
How's everyone doing hearing tonight? Can you all hear? Okay? Yeah? Okay.
Jan, I found it.
Oh, I knew you were gonna find it, so I wanted to give time to sign it.
So Jan discovered, and it was loaned to us by the library. We weren't expecting it, but they had a kind of a dollhouse of an old country store. And Jan was able to take it on loan for our display, which really added a lot of interest, extra interest to the display itself. And we also have some things from Helen Sullivan, who had a replica of the Rosemary trolley stop that was added to, and there was a store in that, and we'll talk about that a little later. And milk bottles from Third Hill Farm, and Julie brought some interesting implements from the home. I think a cutter, a knife we couldn't put in, and a juicer. They're plastic now, because I have one that you screw into the orange, you know, so you can drink it. Well, this one was metal, a metal juicer, so that was kind of neat. So maybe you can see some more things. Oh my gosh. There are all sorts of bottles from medicine bottles, milk and magnesia, eye drop types of things. There was a butter churn, a mortar and pestle, another a sieve, which is kind of a newer thing, but same as like the mortar and pestle, where you take the wooden handle and you move it around in a cone, you know, and it mushes out stuff.
It's called a ricer. My mother used it for making applesauce.
There you go. Thank you, Carol. A lanterns that were used on boats at night with a Fresnel lens, which very powerful lens. There were canisters from jellies and coffee and nuts. A lot of old items that would have been found in a general store that you would have been able to buy, including yarn and knitting needles and those sorts of things, seeds for planting, a milk can.
When you talk about the kids, where's the big milk cans on the corner? Can you see it?
We will.
Okay.
We will. Yeah, why don't we go to the next one, and you can see the inside. That's the inside of the dollhouse, the store doll.
But the thing is, if you touch it, everything falls. And that was my one thing. I kept in here, don't touch a thing, because if that falls, it'll put that. It was very, very good. But it is amazing to see that. The kids like the little washboard too.
Yeah, so these are all like this big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like this big, right? The picture, it looks like it's almost,
Yeah,
you know,
life-size.
life size.
And there's a pickle barrel, like you just go down the store and have the pickles.
Yeah, oh, they're on this shelf.
The coffee grinder. Is that what that red one? Is that a red one? Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah,
show there.
right there.
But it was
Yeah,
amazing to
yeah.
see it sitting up there, but nobody knows where it came from.
Right.
So I'm hoping somebody's gonna say, because I mean, I know all the things that Frederick did. But I mean, I've never seen this before and nobody seems to know exactly where it came from, so. I'm hoping someone's gonna say, oh, I know who did that.
Yeah,
Not
and
one of you, huh?
we certainly want to thank Eric for not minding us to keep him, we kind of yelling at, don't touch it, don't make it move. And luckily, he's tall enough, he can reach right over things. If we'd have got in there, everything would have been all topsy-turvy, so.
Looks like they sold out their fruit and vegetables.
Well, the thing
Yeah.
is, I've talked to the art teacher, she's been too busy, but she's gonna make me some small stuff to get in there.
Oh,
Perfect.
wonderful.
Yes, I already
I
did
can
on
work on
that.
that,
I
yeah.
didn't like it empty either.
The next picture will show you the milk pail and the,
Okay, so the kids, one of the kids, as you say, what do the kids get out of it? Because what I've been able to do now is I can talk, if kids either going to special or going to lunch or coming in for recess. If there's a teacher who wants their kids to see, I'll come in and talk to them about what's in the display. So one of the kids said, do you know, he said, that looks like a time capsule. Remember that we had in there last year, and I mean, I hadn't even thought about that, but he was exactly right. I reminded him of what the time capsule looked like
isn't that neat?
that we buried. Remember that? And I said, yeah, I do remember that.
Cool. Down the bottom is a toaster that Ernie loaned us.
And Ernie has toasters from the beginning of toasters happening all the way up through. I mean, they are lined up with an amazing collection of toasters, alarm clocks, clocks, and then all kinds of bottles. And I'm saying to him, why did you collect Hood? I mean, at least Hood was my name. He collected because he lived in right outside of Boston. And I like some of those things he's got from Hood. Oh my God, amazing collection of Hood.
I thought it was a collection too, of telephones.
Yes, and oh yeah, the telephones as well. Yeah. Yeah.
There are irons there.
Yeah, and he has a collection of the irons.
And next to the irons are there's a shoe shine box, and next to it are some lotions and things for leather and shoes, lacquer. Yep. And a sewing box is in that crate.
Right here.
Yeah, it's an old sewing box.
Is that an old shaving kit right there? What's that? In front of the box?
I think that's the clothes.
Those are clothespins.
Oh, clothespins.
Yeah,
Old
yeah.
clothespins.
Probably the 1920s World's Fair, maybe.
Anybody still hanging clothes out on the line these days?
Yep.
I know.
In the
yeah.
spring, summer, and fall only.
Okay, yeah, you're not out there doing it.
And like the Maxwell House coffee in the middle is one of the ones with the key on the bottom. Remember, I used to have the lid, and you pull it out with the key and turn it off. Kids thought that was pretty interesting. And Maxwell House coffee is was the best-selling coffee for almost 100 years in 1980, but then 1980, all the other guys started coming in, so they're no longer they still sell a lot, but they're not paid
Mhm.
almost popular.
And there's some of the bottles.
And he has an amazing, like, he
That's what
said
it
that
is.
one is rare. I kept saying, don't give me one that's rare. I don't give much of a chance. And see the little box that says Hoods on it? It came out about the same time. Hoodsie cups, little Hoodsie cup came out in 1947. And this one is about the same time, but I never saw one of those around here growing up. And I'm thinking maybe because he was in Boston area, that was something that was closer to his area, because I don't know that, but then it says those came out in 47. And
That's ice cream or?
yeah, it's like the Hoodsie cup, it's
Yeah.
like a little ice cream thing. And then that blue bottle, because I didn't realize, I always knew there was H.P. Hood, that I always, thought that I was named after that, but not me, but, the Hood Milk Company. But there's also a CI Hood, and that was out of Lowell, Mass, and they did more of the medical type things, or, because they did sarsaparilla, and they did, what did I say? Oh, tooth powder. It's got it in the toothpaste. There's a little tiny bottle on the next shelf down that is just a bottle of tooth powder. See, there it is right there.
Tooth powder, the tooth
The
powder.
two-part one, that's right.
Yep. two-part bottom. There's
So-
gauze there, yeah, there's Roma seltzer tablets, Pepto-Bismol tablets,
Not the magnesia.
milk of magnesia,
Well,
eye wash, which they still have now, which has some sort of acid in it. There's a tin there, that's plug tobacco.
Yeah,
My grandfather
They haven't
always
asked- they
chewed
haven't asked about
tobacco.
that yet.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's that one. There's some medicine things there and some tacks and old tax. This is, Jan, you can talk more about this.
Well,
This is
I mean, I
sad.
went to the little something in, South Berwick, that little gift shop that's in South Berwick. And who would think that they could have a whole book about fluff? But I mean, so I had to buy it, there's no reason I need it, but I mean, how can you not pick up a book about fluff? It's like everything in the world in here, but you find out about fluff. And, it's kind of interesting with some of the facts, but also the kids like and then I, talked my daughter into the fact that if I was gonna do fluff, we were gonna do this, I wanted her to make the fudge. So we have plenty of fudge. I didn't know it would make as much fudge as it makes. So I've got a deal for you. You can eat what fudge you want here, but if you wanted to take fudge home to share with your family, I brought baggies with me. Maybe a little extra donation, like, you know, help us with the schoolhouse things in the future, but that's kind of an interesting thing. My daughter said never again. She did make it. But it's actually pretty good. I did try it. So I had to make sure it's gonna taste okay.
Very good.
And then also the Campbell soup, because like the tomato was the very first can of soup that they can put out. And then plus the Campbell soup kids being the advertisement, they put them out as $1 to buy, and I think I got those back in the 60s. They sell them.
You know, Jan, I use fluff for my filling, my whoopie pies,
Yeah,
and grandchildren who now have moved, you know, to Indiana. They have no idea, they could never buy fluff.
that's what they, and someone just, one of the kids, they said that at
they
the
didn't know
school
what.
too. Yeah, you can't get it. And I also read that actually, I stopped eating fluff because if I got it, I'm gonna keep eating it, so I haven't had fluff for years. And, so I decided, one of the things I read, it said that, you know, actually your blueberry, your jellies have more calories than the fluff, so I thought, oh, no, I'm going. I wasted my time.
I'll put, yeah. We can buy plenty of fluff for orders of whoopie pies, so it's my husband's favorite. His birthday's at the end of the month. I can put an order in now. Fundraiser.
Whoopie pies is
Yeah.
favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Second part. Or what people.
Just let me know.
So, not all these slides are gonna be up in that display. Some we decided, you know, we would just leave out in there. The display actually goes around the corner with some more pictures, because we had a lot of stores that we found that we had pictures for, and then there were some that we didn't have a picture, but they were in the 1872 maps. And so we tried to document as many as we could for the future. So this is one of the things that didn't make the display, but there were stores, Thomas Franklin Staples, you all know TF Staples store perhaps on Pleasant Street. Well, he had another one before that was down toward the end of Pleasant Street, down before the curve, before you go around the curve toward the church. There was the Dixon and Staples store, and then Walter H. Staples had one on Main Street across from the McKinney store, so that it was near the side of Greenwood Ave, on the other end, on the Main Street side.
There's Greenwood here,
That's
and that's
Greenwood.
Main Street.
That's Main Street, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's one right there in the corner.
Yeah. And then there was W.O. Kennard, who had one at Kennard's Corner, which was near the library. It was in that area. And it said he was a poultryman and he sold grain in the store. But we don't have any pictures, nor do we know really the location of it, other than he advertised. So this is the Jeremiah Libby store and post office. It was originally out on State Road. And Albert Libby tells me it was at one time on the foundation where the Fullers live, where Howard Libby later lived. And I know this is going to be hard because not knowing quite where it is, but it's between Kennard's Corner and Old Libby Lane.
Right across the street, across the street, the congregation doing.
There you go, thank you. I forgot where we were even. It's a good thing you're here.
Busy. Yeah, the fact that you're here is good.
It's a good thing you're here. I'm still in my house. So the house was moved and is now 5 Old Libby Lane. So it's, you can't see it from the road, same side, same side.
So so this picture here is right out front, or is this when it was moved?
It hasn't been moved yet. This is
Oh.
when it was out by the road. Yeah,
Right out here?
Yeah.
So this was Main Street, like, or
now it's State Road.
State Road, rather.
Yeah.
What we're on right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I believe so.
It's just a little, so not being an Eliot resident, Main Street being the road down by the river and this being State, it's a little confusing, just so you know. I'm still trying to figure out the map.
This house is on Libby Lane now?
Yes, Old Libby Lane.
Old Lane.
Yeah.
It was Davy's house?
Yes, it is Davy's house.
Okay, all right.
Old Libby crosses right up here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
right down there.
Libby's cross is right here.
It's not really a lane though, right? It's like a private lane.
It's a lane.
Oh, it is? It's public?
No, it's just a lane.
There's actually a sign.
It is. Not-
Yeah.
okay.
On the other
Well,
side,
their house is
it's,
on it, right?
on the other side, it's public, but
Okay.
not on the Davies.
Okay, right.
Old was Paris's store. Eliot Neck, did you ever find a picture
Yeah.
of that?
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if you think of any, let us know and I'll tell you if you're gonna see it. So this was the George Ireland store. So that would be located near where, well, for me, it would be Mole Hill Farm.
Yeah. it is. It's kind of-
For others today, it would be Sturgeon Creek Farm, the newer Sturgeon Creek Farm on State Road at the corner of Depot and State. A little bit further down.
I didn't know what that is.
George Willett had a store here after Ireland did, and then Goodwin's Market was here, and then Sturgis had a store here in 52.
Where was the one that's on the corner by Cedar Road and State Road? Goodman's.
That was Roland Goodwin, right? He had a stand. He had
He had
a
a stand.
vegetable
Do
stand?
we have a picture there?
I don't think so,
I don't
Ooh,
think so.
Roland Goodwin.
because it's not a store.
The stand still is there.
Roland Goodwin.
Does all these,
Yeah.
Roseanne, was all these stores the same building?
The same building well, okay, the store building was later divided and then part of it was moved a little bit further down. And the building you see here is still there. The other part of the building was moved further down toward 4 Road and the foundation is still there where it was moved.
So this is the front of it and it's just trying to get
Yeah.
a location.
Yeah, that's looking up the road toward it.
Okay.
Looking up toward Depot Road, you're seeing the building there.
Right.
But that, when it was Goodwin's Market, that's really the only 2 pictures we have of that store, which is kind of amazing. We have a lot of Ireland's Farm.
Goodwin's store was there when I remember Goodwin's store.
Yeah,
And then
We didn't take
Sturgis took
pictures.
it over.
yep, Sturgis, yeah, he bought it.
Austin said it after that.
Was it Austin?
Augustine, wasn't it?
Oh,
Was it
Augustine.
Austin?
My
Augustine.
bicycle didn't go that far.
The house is still
Well, I
there.
never got past the elementary school.
They moved the house back on the lot.
Yeah.
It's now a house,
Right.
the old Stewart place.
Yeah,
down
that's
low.
what it was.
Carol, were you gonna mention something on Zoom?
No, no, I'm just playing, no.
All right, just flag us down if you,
Okay.
That was Augustine, I'm pretty sure. One of the kids.
Augustine.
okay?
That was Percy Day's store.
Yep, anything you remember, because this isn't exhaustive, this is learning. This is what we found or what we could find, so if you have information, I love, people sharing, their knowledge, because otherwise, we don't have the full picture.
These pictures of Mary Bucks, isn't there?
There are. There's Benjamin Kennard's Tavern, which was down on Old Road. It's now the site of the Pine Tree Institute.
Just across from the tennis court.
Thank you. Yeah, add where the location is, because
And just what's interesting is you point out the Kennard store and Ireland store, and that's when we had the bicentennial, those were the signs we put up for the different corners.
Right.
Remember, we had Ireland's corner and Kennard's corner, and that's what the stores were. Yeah.
And Benjamin Wiley had a store and a lunch counter at the waiting station at Rosemary Junction into the early 1900s. And his wife used to make molasses kisses. Actually, his wife and daughter would make molasses kisses and homemade pies and sell them at his little lunch counter. This is the place that it would have been one of the first two places. It was small, then it was added on to, and then it burned. And that's when the one at Greenacre was brought up to Rosemary Junction when that one burned. Mr. Wiley, it said, had left his store and left the wood stove going and left it open, and it burned down the building. And so the one was brought up from Greenacre to there. And of course, now that one is back home at Greenacre.
The picture shows Rosemary Junction. What was the form of transportation that was going through here?
That was the electric trolley, yeah. The
Thank you.
electric-
All right. The one that goes down through 236 by,
No, that's the one 236 was a train.
Oh.
That was a train track. These were the electric trolley tracks. And right there, you see it going by that building. It would go to Dover and to York. It would come across, it would come down State Road, it would cut through the field. It would go across and over what is now Marshwood High School, come down to Depot Road, go up Depot Road to that junction. And then the road you see going by it to the right. Well,
yeah.
what am I doing?
Right here, look at.
If I'm looking at it straight, there to the right, it's gonna go to Dover, and to the left, it's gonna go to York.
All right.
The trolleys to York.
I can see
Beach.
the pole standing up.
Yeah, that right there?
Right,
Elect-
the pole, exactly, right.
One right there, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the trolley line that has the foundations that are.
Comes
in
from
the
in
field.
front of my house, where I live, went across there, and there's an interesting story about that. And they got it all done, what they did, all of these big wheels came by and they bought sections of land. The problem is they didn't always pay these dumb farmers from Maine. Well, the original day of the ride, the initial ride, they had all of these governor and everybody else on this train. Trolley came from Portsmouth, came up through South Eliot, all the way up And they went by my house, and they got just beyond my house, and oh, what Shapley was it? He owned where Damon lived.
Augustus Shapley.
Augustus.
Gus.
Yeah, Gus Shapley. That's an interesting story, isn't it? So what he did, they hadn't paid him. They promised all this money. So he found out about this big important trip. And he got his hand, and they went down and they barricaded that whole track. So he said, you're going to get a team of oxen through it. And so they're tooting along, and all of a sudden, they come to a screeching halt. And so all of these, soon to be important people were like, what's going on? What's going on? And he said, I forget what it was. In the history book, the amount is there, what they paid per parcel. And yes, you promised me that. And so far, I haven't seen it. And, oh, don't worry, we'll get it to you. He said, yes, you will. Well, can you take this off? So he said, I'll make sure you get your money. He said, yes, you will. And he said, well, would you move the stuff? He said, have you given me the money yet? Well, I don't have it with me. Well, I guess you won't go, will you? And so they had to take all of these people and they rounded up enough money from all of the big wigs and paid it. And so he said, that's a good lesson. He said, don't try to fool the main farmer.
Another great story.
That's a good one.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, and there's the June program, we're going to talk about the electric trolley cars, right?
Right.
So we'll get some more information around that. So be back in 2 months for the trolley car.
I don't know what, they never took the tracks up in South Berwick until in the late 40s. I remember it. I hope it didn't go from 9 to 11. I mean, you're lower in the Pleasant Street, but up going out the mountains and up through there, the track was still there. Probably.
Is that
Just out of the microphone.
okay?
Nope. Go ahead. You can go.
All right.
So there's a James Reed store and the Willis Hayden store, which was down by the Eliot Depot. Susan. There's also a post office there, and the kind of the neat thing is,
That's Billy Daly's old house, right?
that was where the Dailies, yeah, that was where the Dailies would come to live, yeah. Yeah, my grandfather, Moses Paul, sold it to the Dailies. That was part of his land down at the, down on Cedar Road.
Yeah.
And so an old, it's not a map, it's a, I don't know what you call it. Blueprint. Survey, yeah. Shows where that store actually was, which was on the Cedar Road side. It was that, as you said, where the Dailies or the Webbers live there now. Right at the corner of Cedar and Depot. And it's kind of neat because it also shows where the actual depot was located, which is across from Marshwood Middle School. No, is that it? Yeah, that's it. Okay. And it also shows where it looked like they were going to put the Eliot Farmers Union building. I don't think one was never built there, but there is a proposed Eliot Farmers Union building, right? I think it's right there. That little thing. And Eric was looking at this, and he said he discovered that in the deed, there's a little jog down here where where Clark's land is, Ellen Clark's land, is a little jog like this that goes up like this and then down. When they took up the railroad tracks and they gave the land back to people or parceled it up or whatever, they actually left that little jog in, and Eric saw that when I sent it to him. He says, "Hey, that's still there. They didn't take it out. Instead of just making 236 run up straight, they left that little jog in." Yeah.
Willis Hayden was my grandfather's, cousin. He lived almost across the street from the farm. That was his house,
This is us.
where Joanne lives now. My grandfather was the one that had the little store and sold grain and all kind of stuff in the center of the farm, the big farm at that place.
Were they moving anything other than people on this? So
This is the train track.
So this is the train, so we're moving
So
stuff.
there you, freight and
Yeah.
mail and other goods.
Would
Yeah,
they stop here?
yes.
So the stores could benefit from that? Would they get deliveries and things, do you think, from the trains or shipping stuff?
I think a lot of it was we shipped stuff out from the farms, the Bartletts and other people that grew vegetables and fruit and peaches and apples, and were shipping it out. And then they would get the grain and the things they needed, the fertilizers and stuff in for the farmers.
Mhm.
Yeah, and of course, the Eliot Farmers Union that Helen's talking about would have deliveries to them, and then they would have good buying power for the farmers and disperse it.
My great grandfather did his grain there.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I grew up in a big house on Depot Road. It was almost, I could look out and see the train go. I
yeah.
can remember hearing the whistle, yeah.
Now, my mother remembers,
Yeah.
she was up on Rosemary Hill, and she
That's right.
remembers hearing the train come through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But for it to stop right there and unload and everything, that's pretty exciting as kids, right? To,
yeah.
you know, it's one thing to see it just fly by, but
Yeah.
comes and stops and then.
And of course, it was transportation too.
Right.
You know, they had the trains that actually carried the people,
Mhm.
you know, from Boston up to Portland and beyond.
Oh, they got the mail every day.
They got the mail.
Dropped off the train every day.
It's probably better public transport then than there is now, right? Coming up through here. Yeah.
My husband used to tell about going over to the train track with Bobby Wiegand and a couple of other guys his age. And they put pennies on the track.
Oh, yes.
Wait for the,
Oh, yes.
yeah, wait for the train to arrive.
Yeah.
We ever went over the bridge on Beach Road. You remember that?
Oh, the bridge over Beach Road, I only heard about it, that
Oh,
it was
yeah.
so steep that somebody actually flew off at one
The
time.
older kids always used to say, you want to take a ride, get a ride, the rumble seat, and they'd get on there about 30 miles an hour, and then they'd step on it just before they got there. And you thought you were on a roller coaster.
Line up.
Which is, was it a hill? Was there like a bit of
yeah.
the bump?
The
Where
bridge,
the
now
tra-
the
oh, the
road, the bridge went up and then it,
It went up over Beach Road.
yeah, over the
Really?
track, and then it just,
Oh, wow.
Fact is,
it's quite a.
where, like I said, my mother's, said 4 down in South Elliott, that school where Titus lived, the oldest one,
Seven.
the oldest Titus, came over coming this way. And went up like that, and he tried to move it. Probably a 3-foot in diameter pine tree, he didn't move it.
So this is one more newer to us, I think, is the Eliot Meat Market, which Bob Beckert had down on Moses Farmer Road, what's now Moses Farmer Road. I know my brother worked there a little while for Bob and cut his hand, I think. I think that was the last time he worked there, but Brad Stevens apprenticed with Bob. He was when he was in high school in the 70s, and he later took over the business for Bob, as I understand it. And then he and Brad Stevens partnered with Harry Bullard, and they ran it there and then moved the business in 86 to what was then Newson's store, which is the former McDaniel store.
Do you have the story about Mr. Willett? You were talking about the train.
Tell me the story.
Mr. Willett owned, it was Liebman's, I don't know who was between Liebman and Willett, but in the 40s, probably, well, I was about 8 or 10, maybe 10 years old, so like 45. And he tried at Butler's Crossing. They used to go to Portsmouth, the storekeepers, and pick up their stuff, you know, when their own cars or whatever they had, then come back. He went to get his goods, and he was coming back, and there was, I mean, went over that enough times, it was good crossing thing in the train, but when the train came through there, the Boston Main came through there, it was whistling. I mean, it wasn't, you know, it came over the bridge, and then it was coming up through there. So anyway, some reason he didn't stop. And out where the Jehovah's Witness, that was a big field then, with Jehovah, you know what?
Kittery, yeah, yeah. Kittery, where the Jehovah Witness building is.
So then I think it was Pease that bought it after that, wasn't it?
Yes,
I don't know.
Willett didn't have it very long, because he had moved from Ireland's Corner to Liebman's, and within months he was killed. And Pease took over. His widow sold it to Pease almost within the same year.
And as I remember when I was growing up, it was Pete.
Yeah, it was
I
Pease.
just know that poor old guy didn't, but they said he owned the store then. Did someone own it between Liebman and him?
No, I think Willett owned it right after Liebman.
Because there was a big blacksmith shop too on Farmer side of it.
That's what Frankie Thomas was talking about. That James Turner had a blacksmith shop there, right there at Liebman's store. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Turner,
yeah. Jim Turner. Because he remembered him being there.
In this picture here, that house is still there, and it still looks like that, I
It
believe.
still looks like that, yeah.
And then when you say Newson store and McDaniel store, that's the now new main diner.
That's the main
store,
market.
Main market.
Yeah, that's the main market.
This is further down. This is down around the corner, right? Where
This is
taken-
going toward Pleasant Street,
Yeah.
so it's just a little ways down.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But you're saying that house is still there?
The whole
Yes,
thing.
it looks just like that.
Now I need to look. I don't
They're all
remember.
there, yeah.
I
walk
don't
it
recall,
all the
is that a
time.
garage now, or is that the actual meat market part? Is that a garage to that house now, or is that?
Oh, is it?
I think
Okay.
it is, yeah.
All right.
Go by there all the time.
Eric, were you gonna say something?
No, well, yeah, I was wondering if you called that number, would they answer?
Yeah.
439.
You want to try it?
Anyone got a phone? You want to put an order?
Put it in order.
Becky used to smoke a cigar,
Oh,
and we used to get good meat, he did.
Yeah,
Well,
good.
he did. And so he also sold eggs, but the eggs are, you know. Yeah. Catch eggs one time, and all you could smell was the gas smoke.
when you crack them open and put them in the fry pan,
Really?
people don't understand that eggshell is quite porous.
Porous, yeah.
And if it's left in a room, it'll pick up all the smells of the room.
Becky said, oh, no, they don't stink, you should try it.
It's a good-
It's pretty good. I don't, of course, remember this, but in the, was it the The 1930s,
Sounds about it.
40s,
Because Donnie would remember that because
yeah.
back, probably in the late 40s, remember Cushman's Bakery that used to have the truck and the big trucks that used to go around?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Well, they had these people that come through town and dropped it off, whatever you say, if you had one of the routes, why, you ordered so much ahead of time. And that store there, the store there, it was just a building. And it burned, I remember that, because I was on the fire department when it burned, but anyway. I can remember going up there because we were like 10, 11 years old. Mr. Fry, was almost a paraplegic, so we always told him how much help we were to him, especially when the Brad was clearing turnovers. We even worked for one, you know? So anyway, but that's when and Donnie couldn't remember it. Cross from Frankie Thomas, remember we were talking about that, you couldn't remember?
Well, I remember the building being there, but it was closed the time I was a kid.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I remember the building being there.
Yeah, that might be.
Matter of fact, in the summertime, there used to be some people that was, I don't know who owned it, but some people.
No, she got it right here.
From Green Acre came there and they rented it for a week, you know, and they'd use it as a camp, they stayed there. When I was a kid, there was a few years of some people stayed there as a, you know, was shelter.
It was, I was just telling while you were gone that Everett Fry, you know, Cushman Baker,
Oh, yeah, I know, I heard.
they used to drop his stuff off there.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
That would go up and pick it up.
Yeah.
I would put it in the truck.
Yeah, ain't having it. And you ate your share of it. I remember when he had the cushion.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that when I was a little kid, he had the cushion.
You don't remember them raspberry cream turtle?
Probably. We were poor. We were poor kids.
oh,
Well, we were poor too. We worked all day for them.
and their son Lionel worked for Mrs. Schafflocker. They had a son Lionel, and he worked for Mrs. Schafflocker down at Nine Gables,
I remember her.
down on State Road.
Oh, I remember her because when we moved and we bought the house, we got a telephone. We were on a 13-party line.
Oh.
And she was there by herself in her house. And when I'd be talking to my mother, we'd hear it click. And she'd say, dears, I got some note paper and it's all, the envelopes are all stuck together. And I want to send out a note. How do I open the envelope? She'd come up with all these questions. She'd butt into the telephone conversation.
You always knew when she was on the phone, because you could hear it when she picked it.
Oh,
Oh, we knew when she was on the road too with that big package. That cigarette holder she had.
Well, I was looking at the telephone number, right? 225J. So what does that mean? So 225J is the telephone
You ask
number.
the operator phone, you pick up the phone, you say, give me so, you give me some phone.
And they-
What do I have?
Yeah, that's what it says on the receipt.
Oh, yeah.
1927, I take it, right? August 15th, 27? Yep.
I don't know what.
And how much? So 60 cents for a can of coffee, maybe? 50 cents for, can you read it? I know, and it's,
Actually easier on the screen.
Yeah.
TV.
Remember that scoop that you showed in
There's Jello.
one of them pictures that ice
Jello
cream
and fish.
scoop? Well, it
$1.60.
used to be at Harris's.
looks like fish, lunch
Yeah.
fish.
You see how big
6
that
of
was?
them.
5-cent scoop, okay? And if you
Got
had
4
10
ginger
cents,
ale.
but another one on top of that, and that ice cream used to be that high.
Jello.
10 cents.
Flour.
Anyway, it-
12. Well,
We kept the tab.
Mm.
I don't think that-
Yeah. So Joshua Hubbard up on Goodwin Road kept a store at his house. And that building is still there. It's across from Ambush Rock Road, the Joshua Hubbard house. The owner at the time, I think she still lives there, I'm not sure. But she did come and speak to us about the history of that house. And Joshua Hubbard, who kept meticulous record books of marriages and deaths and in the town.
That's
Right,
on
during
Goodwin
the-
Road?
Goodwin Road, right across from Ambush Rock Road. That little house.
Yeah, it's where, they both passed away.
That the grand house, Alan,
Yeah,
where the grands live.
yeah.
Where the Grants lived, yeah. The later owner, and I don't remember what her name is, she came and talked to us about the history of that house.
They recently sold it again.
Did they? So she's gone now. Yeah. And the Monahans, I want to look at the next one. Because this is the only picture I have of Harry Shapley's store. And Harry Shapley's house is down just the opposite your driveway.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Where the Shays lived.
Yeah,
I'm trying to give you cues here.
yep,
And I was told that his store was pretty much almost not next to your house, but across the driveway there. I know there was a line for the trolley up to the gravel pit that Eric wrote about, and I think it's up on our website, I think, in his blogs. But there was also his store that was there.
well, when we moved here, before Shea, oh no, Shea's bought it, probably the same time we bought our house. They were there ahead of us, but, talking to my Uncle Leon, before State Road ever went all the way through, when State Road only, Four Road never went where it intersects State Road where it does now. But the tote road you're talking about, the gravel pit over behind Paul Rogers' house, Mary Chapley's house. That came over, didn't that go into Roscoe Shapley's field? I mean, into his house?
Did it go into his house?
Well-
I mean, the trolley line, there was a jog, right, that went up to the gravel pit and then came out again and went across the fields, Augustus Shapley's fields. Yeah,
That was all field then.
yeah,
The
yeah.
fact is, when we bought our house down at the heath, the whippoorwills are still down there.
Mm,
You're on now.
gone now, yeah. So there was no building there when you came
No,
to
I
town?
never remember that.
No.
Carol, I just want to check in. Can you see the picture of the Harry Shapley store on your screen?
Yes, I can. It looks like it's made of aluminum on the outside.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, but you
Or
would think
aluminum siding.
it would be for something really important like a house. But it
Pretty
could be,
big glass too.
Yeah,
yeah, big glass, yeah, huge. Looks like the awning comes up, so you put it down at night.
Right.
Beautiful window.
Yeah, I know.
Gorgeous.
Now, do you know that?
What dear?
Go in the tote road over
You know, below our.
toward the gravel pit. Where they used to use it for, to go to the gravel pit. It's an old foundation in there on the right hand side. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I took pictures of that. It's up on my blog. I was walking through there a couple years ago, came across that and took a bunch pictures. I didn't know if it was maybe the office for the, for the quarry operation and, tracks that were there. So I'm not sure exactly what was there, but they probably would have needed some kind of office, some kind of building. Just to get the rock and stuff out of there.
And a foundation, pretty good foundation.
Yeah, stone
We used to
foundation.
cross-country ski in there.
Yeah.
Well, Bernard Rogers used to go back in there and he always did everything by hand to get a dump truck to go there and get sand, and mostly sand out of that tank. I remember that. Give you $3 if you help him load the truck by hand. That was good.
So the Valentine store, Harold Furbish.
Couldn't remember that. I was
The
writing it
Valentine's
down.
store, yeah, at the corner. It's not on the site of what was King Tut's, but it was on the corner of Old Dover and what is now 236. And I found that he remodeled the old Junkins place that was there into the store. It's not there now.
And it's a gas station out front.
Yep, there was a gas station and a lunch counter. Yeah, kind of neat, huh?
Trevor Show.
Right.
Still there.
Yeah, and his brother, it was his brother, right, who then had a store at his house, and that will be in here too, but
I couldn't think of Valentine's on the talking to somebody said I was Carol was going to be given.
I know. And his middle name was Valentine, that's why it was named the Valentine.
Nick's gun shop was right behind it. Or that's what.
Across.
But
And then the next one is John Rait's grocery store in the early 20s, and then it became Day's General Store.
okay. That's a Gould's Corner, right?
That's at Gould's Corner, and John lived in the house next door, which is an old Gould house. It was actually Ivory and now Ivory Gould's family home, and it was moved from where June Goodwin lived, out in front there. The foundation is still there. It was moved to next to this building. You can see it to the left in the picture of the house. That's the old Gould house that was moved. That's actually the store, but behind is the old Gould house. And then Percy Day, he was a deputy sheriff and served Eliot as our constable. The Newell Spinney store that was run by Ray and then his son Newell was established, it says, in 1955, and he ran the store until his retirement in 68. At least that's what the newspaper count said. And that house is still there at the corner. Do you remember that, Donnie? Do you remember that store?
Oh,
I remember that.
I just
Remember
read
going in?
I just read that story.
Cheryl remembered, you remembered, yeah, yeah,
She lived in a house in that.
2 houses down, yeah.
He had a snack bar on the end of it too.
Yeah.
Where you get hot dogs and hamburgers.
Well, you could, if it wasn't Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my aunt, when John Margaret, my uncle run it for a while, and some guy came in on a Friday and wanted a hot dog. And Dorothy was, she was a staunch Catholic, and she said, oh, I can't sell you a hot dog today. What do you mean you can't sell me a hot dog?
Oh.
To the day's Friday. Well, and I never could be almost in a fit. He said, how many hot dogs do you want?
Oh.
But also in that was the first time, I think, in anywhere in Eliot, that when Ray built that for Newell, because Newell was in the army when he built it, that they had a show, meat case, that table, a huge meat case. I mean, there were big places had them, but Eliot didn't have any. I had never seen any.
Did he buy locally raised meat or did he have it shipped in from somewhere?
Pretty much the groceries that we had in there, that was pretty much federal verified, that was pretty much.
I had,
Oh, there's a more story here.
Yeah, a front for what?
It was all,
You had it.
it was everything else in the back room. You have, today they call that, you didn't have a casino license.
Oh.
where, back a raise?
When I was delivering mail, and then there was, all of that there. Because you know the one he had on, the Italian section in Portland, that was a known booking right there.
No kidding. There's another topic.
Casino.
So how are we doing on time?
Country's good. Yeah. He's running quickly.
Yeah.
The Hanscom and Staples store operated around 1880, and I know this one because this is my grandmother's family. And that's down again from just before the Eliot, I want to say just before the Eliot Meat Market, is a gray house, an old gray house, and that is a Hanscom house. And Hanscom and Staples had a store here. George Staples, his brother-in-law, bought into it, and it closed around 1910. And it was moved, and there's a note from Vetter that says it was moved to Beach Road. However, if you look at Hoyt's house, which is next to where this one was located, it looks very similar to that and built in the right time period. And I think it was just moved a little bit away, more up toward State Road.
Ramsey's Reynolds house?
I don't know.
I would bet, but that might be where Benny Gamble used to live. The house coming towards State Road, the house between Cramsey's and the Lehman House around the pond. I wouldn't swear to it, but I bet that's where Benny Gamble was when we were kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I'm talking about, the Walter Hoyt house, where Walter.
Well, that one, if one of the things is, that would be up to beyond Hoyt. It was Hoyt's,
Yeah.
and then Chucky Fernals, and then this one here, which was where Gamble lived.
Okay,
I
good.
wouldn't swear, but it looks like.
The Edwards house, right? Don?
Huh?
The Edwards live in there now.
No, Edwards was the next lot
Next
beyond it.
Oh, okay.
Benny Gamble's still there next to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So then there's the TF Staples store, which is one that most of us are familiar. It became Goodwin's Market, and later on, of course, the post office was located there from 1933 until 1962, when a post office was built, and Joyce Goodwin ran it until 68, and then Katrina's was in there, and Town Pizza, and so that's a very familiar one.
But where would this be if you
On
don't
Pleasant
remember?
Street.
On
On
Pleasant.
Pleasant Street.
Okay, so that's the corner. So if you were saying there was or no? On
Corner of
the other-
Pleasant and Maine.
Okay,
Just as you're turning down Pleasant Street, there's a garage, or there was a garage, I think Dana Norton still operates that, and the next
Okay.
building is the
it's the store. Okay.
Yeah,
What's the building now? It's a house.
It's the residence.
residence, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just.
Okay, so there's the Maurice Leach. You were talking about that down on State Road. Chase's Market, Leslie's IGA. Later on, Woods TV, which is what I remember when I was a kid.
Where's this?
That's the street, right
Right up here.
That's
After you
Turney's
go around
house.
the corner.
On Main Street, right? As you're going down to Main Street. See? Right here.
By the Grange Hall?
You know where the crosswalk is?
Yes.
With across by the library.
Oh, where Aaron Bear,
With a steep roof.
Yeah.
Yes,
where Aaron Bear, there's in the state, yes.
yeah, I know.
I thought that was the place that's down on 103. Okay, so that's State.
That's State Road, yeah, that's State Road.
The old gas pumps. Those are-
Yeah.
Christmas trees. Okay.
Okay. So this is the one you were talking about down, well, this is actually at the corner of Maple and Pleasant, Mary Bucks.
See, I would never go to that store. I mean, I went across to Staple Street, but I haven't went up any further to know that that was there.
You got that picture somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder, it says 41.
That's one of the few that we have.
Is that building still there?
No, the building is gone now. There's a house there, a newer house.
You never know it was there. We just come up by there the other day looking at it.
Yeah, and that's a huge
And
house.
so the little cemetery is across the street? Is that
Yes,
where it
the
is?
Maple Ave Cemetery is across the street. Yeah,
Like the house is a gambrel now?
to your right.
Hmm.
It's a different, yeah.
It's a bit of gorgeous house today.
That's
would have
pretty
been.
nice.
So the next one is Duckers, which is where Ed Vedder lived. Yep. There was originally a Hanscom house there, and that was either taken down or fell down, I'm not sure what. And then the Duckers built this, and they had a gasoline station. She had a little beauty parlor on the side porch, and
That is
he
cool.
sold groceries, and I don't remember it at all.
So is that near where you are?
Oh, that's right on the corner.
Beach and State?
Yeah, the house-
Yeah, the house looks like that.
The corner of Beach and
Um,
State, as you're coming down Beach, it would be on your left, right across from the Moses Farmer house.
Okay.
It's gray.
They just rebuilt the porch
Okay.
maybe 10 years ago, across from what was the bank.
All right.
I don't know how they
I
got
don't know.
it. Yes,
I
they
don't
know. I know.
George McKinney had a store, which was almost directly across from Greenwood Street on the other side. He ran a store there a short time, and George Ireland joined him before George established his own store, as we set up at Mole Hill Farm, Surgeon Creek Farm, up on State Road. The Heresy Spinning Store, this is the one you were talking about, Bud, down at the marina, where the marina is now. And it was interesting, all those spinnies must have had something going, Donnie, because on the upstairs floor of this one, it was used as a club room where the gentlemen played checkers. And they had challenges, and I wonder what else they were doing up there.
Prohibition would have still been going on at this time period.
Closed at the time I was old.
Somebody's saying something.
Prohibition? Ah,
Right,
oh,
was still going on at this time period.
See that box in front there by the door on the left?
Yeah.
That was a bread box.
Right there.
The bread man used to come before the store opened and drop the bread off there. And about at least one day a week, my mother would say, this was before I had breakfast at went to school or anything. Run down to Harris's and get a loaf of bread. You give me the dime or 8 cents, whatever loaf of bread was. What you did. This bread Wonder bread would be right in that box. There's money in there. Bread.
Even before the store opened.
The honor system.
Yeah.
5 cents for a loaf.
And that's why you could get footsies that were the best thing in the world. You like chocolate vanilla ice cream. And that scoop is what I was telling you, because Harris, when you go in the door, just to the right was the freezer for the ice cream. And we always had at least 4 or 5 flavors. I can.
So this one goes back to Furbish Hill, where you saw the Valentine store at the corner there. This was down at the Furbish home on Furbish Hill, which is at the corner
Oldfield.
of Old Fields, yeah, and Old Dover Road or Dover Elliott Road, whatever you call it. So he had a store there and he sold gasoline and
Does it say bread on it? Country something bread,
yeah.
country club.
And then Helen Sullivan, you would have the most probably association as well as information about the Eliot Farmers Union. which was established in 1915 and then was disbanded in 1946. We assume because now there was trucking happening. There was the automobile, there was trucking, and
I don't remember really much about that. I just remember seeing receipts. My grandfather was just really meticulous on writing everything down.
they're just some close-ups.
And then so what is this about the National Biscuit Cookies?
Yeah, the Carlton Staples, their son remembered the glass display case that was in that L between the barn and the house. And up there, the National Biscuit Cookies, they were the kind that has marshmallow on the top. And they were covered with chocolate, and I think under the marshmallow was the jam, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was jam, yeah.
The cookie base.
Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, they're really terrible. They got marshmallow fluff in them, you don't want. Yeah, but they got jam too. So, yeah.
My grandfather was born in that house and he died in that house.
It's right here.
So this farmers union, were they buying in bulk and then dispersing it in smaller quantities, like at a retail?
I thought they were buying for the farmers.
But you'd buy it in bulk.
They were buying in bulk for the farmers at
Right.
a cheaper price than the farmers could buy without the collective. There was also one in
Oh, did you?
yeah, which I thought, I never knew that either, but yeah, now Staples though, at the Farmers Union, he had a little store
Yeah.
that he
Oh, all
sold.
Inside on the end of the barn, on the left-hand side of the barn, you go in there. That's where it was.
Yeah, he stored the things in the barn
Yeah.
for the farmers and the,
And the little outhouse that we loved as kids was right behind it. We thought that was wonderful.
you can see on the barrel.
Do you know the people at the big?
I can picture just like that, and I really don't. Would be somewhere of my grandparents, relatives.
I think Laura said that was John Staples in that picture.
You notice on that barrelhead, the word Eliot has 2 L's in it?
Yep, yep. The post office in both East Eliot and South Eliot at different times were written different ways, with 1 L, with 2 L's. That was something that the U.S. Postal Service did. It's not something we did. But yeah, depending on the year and where it was either 2 L's or 1 L. No rhyme or reason to me, but. So these were taken out by the people who live there, John and Schnitzler and Laura Koch, who are the owners who are restoring the property, and so they pulled these out for me. We couldn't use them in the display that we did at the school because they were too big, but he wanted us to see them, and I took some pictures while I was there talking with them.
John's doing a wonderful job restoring the place. And he's making the kitchen, he wanted it to look like it did when my grandparents lived there. All kind of pictures, he's restoring that and all.
Yeah, she talked about that.
Yeah.
And said they wanted to restore the rooms to the way that they would have been.
They made the kitchen from the dining room, they made it into the kitchen. And she said, we don't want that, we want it back.
Back the way it was, yeah. He's the same one who's leading the restoration of the Frost Garrison, so it's in good hands. Yeah, and just a close-up, it's where it says Eliot Farmers. So there's the Liebman store, Frank Liebman, James Turner, Pease. As I said, Willett only had it for a little time. It was called Willett's, but he didn't have it long enough. About 2 months after he purchased it,
That's a vibrant shop, right?
That's Turner's Blacksmith Shop attached to it, yeah. And in the deed, there's a stipulation that no one would ever be able to build like that again. They needed to be so many feet from the road. And that was an agreement with the town when the property was sold, because it did stick out too far, I think, and was a hazard. So that's why today you don't see that barn, because when it was taken down, that was it. No one was going to be building again out toward the road. I don't know how you get through there now, if it was. Not much space. So it became McDaniel's from 1949 to 1961. Gerald and Matilda, they bought it from Lindley Pease in 49. They added a lunch counter. And then their son Jerry took over in 1960. And the dates are from the deeds to the property. So you may have different dates that you remember it, and that's fine too. I remember Jerry. I mean, the older Jerry and his wife. I remember when I was a kid. And
Her name was Matilda?
Yeah, I never knew what her name was.
I thought it was Mommy Dad.
Yeah.
I thought it was what?
That's all I ever heard.
Who was it?
Mommy Dad.
McDaniel's.
Oh, Ma. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
She
Ma
said
short for Matilda.
Ma.
I would
Matilda.
be willing to bet that you can see the gas pump sign there.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet, and I don't ever remember this day and age, you never get away with it. I think the gas tanks are still buried under that parking.
Oh,
Do you ever remember big on what? I don't.
no.
No.
Ah.
I don't think so.
Chevron gas, they had that when we was in high school.
Ah.
But we was in there one night and, one evening, or I was in there and so. Mom and Dad, but that's what we call her.
Sure.
Oh, Mrs. Mindy, but everybody called her Mom and Dad. She didn't like that. Anyway, she said, "You want to eat big tonight, Dad, or what?" And he said, "Yeah, that'd be good." He said, "Okay, I'm gonna throw a burger on the grill." And she said, "I got some beans that have been heating up on the stove, all the grill all day. They ought to be warm about now." I said, that's when I left because, that's when he used to add everything up on a paper bag. When like that, whatever you got, put the bag down first. 35, 45, carry two. Right on the money.
It's
You
an
don't need a
absolute,
calculator.
it's an absolute miracle. We always sent kids from high school over there to get food at lunchtime. We had no cafeteria, we went to show them. Yeah. So somebody went from each classroom, went over there and got, and Mal was I don't know what you'd call her, but she'd stand there over the grill, after you'd order a hamburger. After she shook the salt about 5 times, she said, "You want any salt on this? We call it Marmax salt burgers. Why we don't all have heart attacks?" Boy, it's a miracle, man.
Yeah.
So there you see,
Yeah.
there you see you guys over there from the school.
Yeah, that's. Oh.
With a hangout.
Yes, Don Darrow's there too.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Down there.
Is that Duncan?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a,
Bruce Staples,
Yeah,
that's Patty White.
yeah.
and is that Vern, what is that, the girl
Yeah,
that's on the end, is it Vern? Yeah. Okay.
Very loud.
Yeah.
Right on there.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I tell the kids that when they come down to see the display, that's what we used to do, they think that's so funny.
Go across the street, yeah.
Go around with drug and go.
I used to-
Oh, God, yeah. Everybody had to take a turn, go
Oh,
you get back, you have the wrong road. I only wanted to catch up on it, you ended up with much of the roll. I had to go and do that.
That's what I tell the
So is
kids,
this
too.
mom again?
Everybody thinks that-
Her here?
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay, mom.
Her daughter.
But boy, air pollution out through the road.
Yeah.
Did it get airplane?
Yeah.
Then in 1984, Alan Newsom bought it and it became Newsom's Market. Not for very long, because then he moved out onto the newly built Eliot Commons and put an IGA store out there. And now he runs his real estate business, selling homes. He was in my
Is he
class.
coming to our class reunion?
Yep, I'm hoping he'll come to the class reunion this year. It's our 50th class reunion. So, okay, then Brad Stevens and Harry Bullard, like I said, they moved up from what was Bob Beckert's down on Farmer Road, moved up, was it 4 houses, 5 houses, whatever. They moved their business up and from the original Eliot Meat Market, and then they christened this one the same, the Eliot Meat Market. And they ran it till 2004, when a couple of guys came in and they changed it to the Eliot Meat Market, like meeting, like gathering kind of market. Yeah, yeah. But they still, you know, had the lunch counter and whatever.
Look at the picture in the corner, yeah, the flower garden or whatever.
So it was like a V intersection there kind of thing, right?
Yeah, there was a Blue Star Memorial Highway designation there, and it's now been placed into Hammond Park when they reconfigured the road. They moved the stone in the plaque.
What's that thing in the center of the road?
There's a little garden.
It's a garden with a Blue Star Memorial Highway stone with a plaque. Yeah, you can see it at Hammond Park. You can see that. If you go to Hammond Park and walk, you'll find it. You know, along with the time capsule and the Veterans Memorial and the gazebo and the.
I know remember Bulkhead, he took that out one morning.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Just a miracle, he went across that and then swung to the other side of the road and went right in between where Peter Dennis is now and the post office, and finally some trees stopped.
Oh,
And 10 minutes before it happened, there was a kid standing out there waiting for school.
oh,
Old Bulkhead from on board was a retired Air Force guy that had a problem with the liquid refreshment.
Vanilla. We used to find the vanilla bottle.
He drinking, that guy was drinking.
yeah, so-
I'm just reading this sign in the window. It says the Eliot Town Hall Annex.
Yep.
What was that all about?
Yeah, well, for many years, that's where people met. That's where the movers and shakers of the town met. I'm not necessarily talking about the selectmen, but I think at times the selectmen have been there. But people kind of worked out what the town should be doing and what should be going on and.
My father would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to come down and put coffee on.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That was the gossip center or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the fundraising committee was there last Friday. So it's still happening.
Making trouble.
Making trouble.
A little smokier.
So then
Yeah.
it was, these are the guys that they took it over. Is the question. Became the Eliot Meat Market. Okay, and that was from 2004 to 2022. And today it's the MAINE Market with the new owners, Hannah and I want to say Jason. It is the oldest and the only continuously used grocery store in our town. It has always been used for a store, so it really has a long history in our town, and we should be very proud of it.
Probably they don't have, when it was legal, and they had the molasses